most of the time when people start working on dials, they start with this size. So this is an 8-foot by 2 feet, 1 inch thick insulation foam board. When I first started making dials, I would just grab these sheets. Obviously, you can get a lot of dials out of here. But eventually, what started happening is that the way these are packaged, they started coming out a little bit warped. So what I started doing is, and I'm sorry, the price of these are like $12, which is a pretty good deal. What I started doing after a while is I went over to these over here and started getting these 2x2 panels. And they're packaged a little bit differently, so they don't warp as much. The only thing is that with these, you're paying about $6, $5.50. So they're a little more expensive. I usually use these for commissions. If I'm doing some personal projects, I'll get the longer board. But this is pretty much what is being used for the most part in the dial structure group. Most ACBA artists. Doesn't mean that this is the only thing you're going to build your dials, because you can make them out of wood, you can make them out of cardboard. It's up to you as an artist. And that's this is the official price tag and SKU information. For the ones that again are generally used, that doesn't mean that this is the only size. They also have some thicker foam. It's about 1.5 inches. I think they have up to 2 inches, and they have a 3/4 of an inch. And they're usually stacked up just like this. So this is what you're looking for when you get to Home Depot. Lowe's carries them a little bit differently. They're usually green. They're not the pink stuff. And I've never seen 1/2 inch, or I'm sorry, 1 inch thick. I've always seen 2 inch thick. So I usually work on the 1 inch thick. So yeah, Home Depot. And this is what you're looking at. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you guys how to cut the insulation foam board. I think a lot of times what happens is people believe that you have to kind of go through the whole board, and because it's 1 inch thick, that's not a good idea. You would need a pretty long blade, and then what happens is you try to go on the cut several times, and you don't have to do that. So I'm gonna show you a real quick way of how to cut this to the exact specifications that you want. So in this case, I'm actually working on a dial which is gonna be 18 inches across. So what I usually do, and it's going to be 12 inches tall. So what I usually do is I have one of these longer rulers, and I usually do the metal ruler just because when I'm slicing, it'll be safe from, I don't know, the blade itself kind of cutting into the ruler. So in this case, we're going to go 12 inches tall. So all I'm going to do is just measure from the bottom and just mark it up at the top. And the same thing on the other side, and the reason you're doing that is because you want to match up the ruler, and you want to make sure that you get the height exactly how you want it. So this dial I'm working on is going to be 12 inches tall, and it's going to be 18 inches across. So I did the measurements for the height, and then I'm just going to go over here and do the measurements for the length of it. And so, once I have my markings down, what I usually use is you can use whatever. I use this Husky one. One of the reasons I like it is because it kind of has a level where you can kind of push the blade up a little bit, or you can kind of set it in. So that kind of gives you a little more freedom in terms of cutting deeper. And it also has a hidden blade holder. So this is the one I use, but you can use any box cutter type blade. So what I do in this case is I just, from the markings that I made of the height, I start to cut. Now keep this in mind, if you're cutting and you cut up to here and you keep the placement of one of your hands there, then what's going to happen is the force of you making sure you're running it across the line is going to make the ruler move. So what you want to do is you want to cut it up to probably where my thumb is. So I have it lined up. I'm going to right about where my thumb is, and all I do is just shift my hand lower and keep slicing across the ruler. And that's all you need, because what happens now, you have the cut, and all you have to do is put it on the side of the table, and it snaps off perfectly. So yeah, so that's basically just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up on cutting the board. The next segment I'm going to create or work on is magnetizing the dials. I do have a quick tutorial on my YouTube page, but I want to expand that a little bit, so that'll be the next segment. Thank you very much, y'all. Peace.